Heart Snuggles. I'm so excited that you're here today, and we have a very special guest, Georgia. And I'd love for you to introduce yourself.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Thank
I'm Georgia, and I'm a holistic health coach.
Amazing. And where do you live?
I live in Seattle, Washington, but I'm originally from Perth, Western Australia.
Amazing. And I always like to start off with a question is, what was the last random act of kindness someone did for you?
Wow, I was thinking about how I was going to answer that question today, and I thought you reaching out and us having this conversation to me is just such a act of kindness, and I'm so excited.
Yay, I'm so excited too. And I know you just birthed this beautiful new baby of your new product, and I would love for you to share what that is with the listeners.
Yeah, so I created a holistic program called the Holistic Compass, and it's all about becoming your own expert on you. And it goes by my 4 daily pillars, which I practice every day. So the first one's nourish, movement, joy, and rest. And these I've found tapping into each of these pillars really has helped me help heal holistically. And I created the program at the start, or at the end of last year. It came to me in a meditation, like a download. And I at first was like, what is this? And then at the start of this year, I was able to explore what that message really entailed and what it was for. And I wrote it for the girl that I went into last year being, who was looking for all of the answers in other people. Like, please tell me how to eat, move my body, how to think. And I just wanted to create a program that would really help other people tap into their own inner knowing and become their own expert on them.
That's so beautiful and so important. And how do you think you got into that journey of like moving into holistic living?
So I grew up in Australia, and it wasn't until I moved to the US that I was really met with what I was trying to run away from, which was myself and the inner struggles. And a lot of that had to do with some health concerns. So I grew up being a typical party girl and working in the nightlife industry, and that led me down a path of just mistreating my body. And that started to show itself within the health issues that were arising, like my digestive system. And I heard about this program called the IIN, and it teaches you how to be a health coach, but you really get to coach yourself through it. And so through using that program, I learned all about holistic health, and it was just so fascinating. And then it started working, and that's when I was like, okay, there's something here, and there's something I need to share with other people.
That's so cool. We have like a flip-flop journey because when I moved to Australia, that's when I tapped into like my holistic health and doing my self-exploration. And it's cool to see that we moved different places and both got that same gift. And it's such a beautiful journey to start to heal yourself and to realize like you've been in your own way this whole time and like you have the gifts to like give back to yourself.
Yeah, definitely. When we step out of our own way, that's really when the magic unfolds.
Mm-hmm. And how do you help people do that?
So I help people through the program itself. So it just gives you actionable tools that you can implement if they really resonate with what you're experiencing. So there's like a meal planner, day planners, shopping lists. There's over 60 recipes. The program itself has over 150 pages. And I just wanted it to be a self-led program instead of me being like, oh, this is how you should be to become like me. It's really, what do you need to do to become the expert on you? Yeah. And then I also do a lot of creation online, like content creation on Instagram and TikTok mainly. And then I'm also opening up spaces for one-on-one coaching, which is exciting.
It's so exciting. It's so nice to be able to offer that to people and give that gift. Like the best gift ever to like show people that they can heal themselves.
Yeah, definitely.
And it's so important. I love that too, that you focus on like, don't become like me. It's not me who you want to become. Like, it's you who you want to become.
Yes. And I think that needs to be like shared more within the health and wellness community as well, because I see a lot of people say, hey, this worked for me, do every single thing that I did, which of course they're hoping that they can have the same effect, but everyone's bio individual. And it's when you really tap into what works best for you, I think that's when it all starts to unfold rather than becoming like someone that you see online.
Yeah, definitely. And how do you think you help people navigate like to keep trying new things and to not like if something isn't working like this, like to move on?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think that it's just all about coming back to you and what you know deep down, like why is this not working? And what do you think the next step would be? Like, is there something, because usually we know what we want to do, but it's just a matter of trusting that inner knowing. So I like to help guide people through that themselves.
Yeah, trusting the inner knowing, because we all have the voice. We're all intuitive. It's like, I remember I used to think I wasn't intuitive because there was so many intuitives in my life, and I was like, oh, I need to trust them. Like they know, they're really tapped in, like they've got it down. But I was like, and then I finally realized like I have it too, and like I just ignore it. And taking off the layers of like not trusting that voice is so beautiful to like really deeply go inward and listen to it.
Yes, listening to that inner knowing, when you start to trust it, it just takes you on a whole journey.
Yeah, it's like a magical little fairy ride.
Yeah.
And I'd love to hear about how you manifested this whole thing and what you've been manifesting lately.
So manifestation for me, I'm a manifesting generator in
You
human
too.
design. Oh, yay. So it comes very naturally, but sometimes I feel a bit of an energy block. So in regards to the Holistic Compass, my program, it came to me in a download at the end of last year. But then it took a while for me to really realize what the message that was trying to come through. And a lot of it was removing the ego and the imposter syndrome that came up. Like, who am I to create a program? Who am I to start doing X, Y, and Z? And I really had to focus on the message and the essence and why I wanted to share a program. And when I made it not about me and I focused on the energy behind it and like, how dare I get in the way of spreading this message and helping people, that's when the manifestation process started to really rapidly unfold. Yeah, it wasn't until I just started sharing the program that I was like, wow, people online actually really want to hear this. And it wasn't until I started talking about it on TikTok and it went kind of viral that I was like, okay, I need to get out of my way and I
Yeah.
need to create this.
Yes. And what is the essence of the that is calling you for this program?
The essence is, I think for a while I was really scared of being seen and sharing a message and being a person who's able to hold that space. And so the essence that I focus on every day is just to help somebody who was in my place at the start of last year. It's like, how could I help at least one person? And then, yeah, to just help themselves.
Yeah. Yeah, it's such a being an entrepreneur, man. It's like now social media is like just do it. Like, there's all this motivation, but once you do it, it's like holy shit, like so much gets brought up about every part of like your insecurities and self-doubt, and all these wounds just get triggered as you step into being seen and being heard and holding the space for others, like you said.
Yeah, definitely. All of the little things start to pop up. I
Mhm.
think it's a matter of working through them and, yeah, not letting them get in your way.
Yeah. And I wanted to ask, for those people who don't know, what is a download?
A download. I am getting familiar with them myself as I went through a spiritual awakening, or at least the first level of one, at this end of last year. And for me, a download is hearing a voice, or sometimes it can be a vision, just a clear message that for me, I was like, where did I hear that? Why is that coming through to me? I know it's supposed to mean something. And sometimes that isn't clear at first. And that's something that you need to go on and explore yourself.
And how do you,
And maybe a download is
okay.
different for other people. But that's just how I experience them.
Amazing. And how do you go deeper into it to find the clarity of the download?
Journaling really helps me go past all the layers. Because at first, my logical mind is like, well, where did this come from? And I really just have to get through the logical mind and into the receiving and acceptance.
Me too. Journaling's like, can't talk about it enough how powerful journaling is. And it's just crazy how like just the clarity comes as you just continue to write and continue to like let the messages come through.
Yes, I love it too.
And how do you incorporate journaling in your programs too?
Yes, I do have a section on that. And I talk about it a lot on Instagram, or at least I hope to talk about it a bit more because it's definitely been a really useful tool for my practice and just unlocking all of the thoughts that enter my mind and really exploring them and
Mhm.
not getting in the way of that.
Yeah, that's the best practice is like just to see your thoughts and not be your thoughts. Is like okay, this is what's actually happening in my head. Like how can I observe these instead of like become them?
Yeah, when you know that you are not your thoughts, that so powerful.
It's so powerful. And do you have like a practice that you do every morning? Or you just journal when it feels right?
Yeah, so usually in my morning routine, I love to just sit down with my coffee and my notepad and pen and my vision board, and I'll do a meditation. And either before or after, I'll journal. And it's usually there's something that wants to come out because my mind, as soon as I wake up, has a lot to say. My
Yeah.
mind is always racing. I think it's the man gen energy. And so, yeah, I like to just sort through something. So, whether that's a limiting belief straight off the bat, I'm like, okay, let's sort through this statement. And then other times it's a lot of creative ideas. I like to just get them onto pen and paper so that I don't judge them or forget them.
I'm
So I
so
find that
similar
really
in that
fun.
way too. Like as soon as I wake up, my mind's like, let's do this. I'm like, come on, I just opened my eyes.
hmm
It's so funny. And can you explain a little bit more about manifesting generators? Do you know much about it? I'm just
I
learning.
have been, yeah, I've been learning as well. And I've always felt like a manifesting generator. We're multi passionate and we just have to follow what lights us up. And I think for a while, that was something that I viewed as a negative within my life because I was always the kid that tried every single sport or activity. And I did it and I was great at it. And then I'd be like, Mom, I don't want to do it anymore because I always wanted to try the next thing. And I think that's something that we need to actually see as our superpower because it fuels our energy. And we're actually supposed to be multi-passionate and we're good at a lot of things. Whereas some other people with their energy type, they probably excel from focusing on one thing. Whereas I've noticed that the more I understand it, the more I'm able to forgive myself for wanting to try everything and let it fuel me.
Yeah, agreed. And yeah, it was definitely confusing to me because I'm like, why don't I just want to stick to one thing? Like, I can't do that. And also,
Mm-hmm.
I've noticed too with manifesting generators that we move fast. Like, as soon as we're like called to something, we're like, go, we got this, like, and take
Yeah.
action so fast. And like, I've been learning that we need to, like, when we're delivering a product per se as our business, like slow down a little bit so people can catch up because we're so quick to like do it. And so that's what I'm practicing right now is like taking my time to allow people to catch up.
Yeah. Sometimes I feel like I'm on a moving train and I'm like, let's just stop at a station at least.
Yeah. How do you help yourself slow down?
So lately I've been trying to step into more feminine energy
Mm.
and learning more about that because I've been in the masculine energy for a majority of my life. And I think the more I tap into that feminine of allowing myself to rest and not judging myself for resting, because it's so crucial. I mean, one of my four daily pillars, yet it's something that I struggle with. Um, I think that the feminine really starts to show you how beneficial it is. So I love taking Epsom salt baths. I love really being mindful in my morning routine and not chugging down the coffee. It's like, let's sip it. Let's work through these thoughts. And definitely yoga and Pilates help me ground myself and connect to my body, which when I'm in the masculine, it's all in the mind.
Yeah, I think even just that the fact of sipping your drinks, like I finish my drinks so fast all the time. And
hmm
yeah, it's all those little practices. I love that you said all those things. It's really helps me too. And switching into the feminine is a practice I've been working on too, and really tapped into that in Australia as well. Of like, I was brought so many beautiful like mentors of showing me how to soften and how to go in the flow and not be so structured. And it's just such a cool practice to understand these energies that we have within us.
Yeah, I think the balance is so crucial because you can only go so far when we're in the masculine.
And for people who might not be familiar, what does the masculine energy mean to you?
To me, it is like go, go, go. Let's hustle. Let's do this. So for me, it's kind of what business, a lot of people within the business space preach, and it has worked for them. And so that's kind of why we follow it. But then when you look at the opposite, like feminine is like slowing down, but it's not doing nothing. It's just being and using your energy to attract. Whereas in the masculine, it's like, let's chase it, let's go after it. So I think that there's such a fine line sometimes between the two.
Yeah, I agree too. And I'm learning how to like, yeah, operate my business from more of a feminine too. And it just feels so much better. And like when I'm doing the masculine, like I'm just it burns me out. Like, and I see a lot of people that live in that, and it's like, yes, it can work, but it's also impacting your mental well-being or it's impacting your physical health because there isn't this balance of recharging and slowing down. And so I think it's really cool that we can like start to show people that there's other ways to do business and just to live in general.
Yeah, I think that I used to reach the burnout so many times that it really forced me to take a look at no, it doesn't have to be hard, and you don't need to deplete all of your energy to still have success and chase your dreams.
It's so interesting too. It's like you said multiple times, like why do we do something like burn out multiple times? Like that's so crazy that we keep trying that even though we can clearly see it's not working. But like the pressures of society are like, no, this is how you're supposed to do it. But it's actually like, no, my body is asking for something else. And once again, listening to that intuition.
Yeah. And I think I'm trying to find people who talk about it a bit more where it doesn't need to be so hard and go, go, go. And learning how to be for me has been so powerful and interesting because it's like, what do you mean? You can just work on your energy to attract what you want. Because
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't sound logical, but when you do it and the universe starts to prove it to you and you start to trust it, it's just mind blowing.
Mm-hmm. And it's not logical. And that's why it's like hard because society is logical. Everything's like factual numbers, scientific. It's like, where's the logic? It's like that's not it. There isn't logic behind it. It's a totally different way of thinking and being. And so what does being mean to you? Like, what do you mean when you say that for people who might not haven't experienced that yet?
For me, at this stage, being is surrendering and really trying to let go of the chase and instead of chasing, attracting. And so the best way that I can do that for me is meditate on my energy and my vibration and do things that really raise my vibration. And a lot of the time, that can just be noticing what brings down my vibe rather than elevating it. Because it can be as simple for me as an energy leak. It's like, oh, that didn't fill me up. That didn't feel very good. Why am I still partaking in that? So I think bringing back my energy to me and then focusing on really tapping into it has been really helpful.
Oh, I love that so much. And just observing, like, I think just that practice of tuning inward and like taking the time, like, where did I give my energy today? What depleted me? Like, what didn't feel good? And like actually taking time to notice that and to start understanding yourself and understanding your needs and setting boundaries where you need. And yeah, like you said, recalling back your energy because yeah, it's definitely hard, especially when it has to do with other people that we love, or
Mm-hmm.
in environments that we have to be in. It's like really important to cultivate and like cleanse your energy daily.
Yeah, I found the boundaries and working on that to be really helpful. Even just an energetic bubble around myself can be very useful.
What is your energetic bubble?
I like to meditate, and it can even just be like for a few seconds, just envisioning a light coming down from the sky, going through my head, and then filling up like a bubble around me. And it just makes me feel safe. And I just say that I want to have the higher good, and only that.
It's that simple. That's what I love. Like another thing I love about like spirituality and being in the feminine is things can be, yeah, like you're saying, easy. Like doesn't need to be this big thing. It's like just saying a simple like protection prayer. Like that's it. And it just helps. And taking that little bit of time to incorporate that just makes such a big difference on our overall well-being and what we can attract.
Yes, I think that realizing that it can only take a few seconds throughout my day to maybe like remind myself that that I can create those energetic boundaries has been so impactful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And like sometimes I'm so resistant too. Like when, or, it's funny when someone like asks for help and they're like, that's all, that's it. And I'm like, that's it. Like just that little thing. Like it doesn't need to be bigger than that. And it's always the simple things that make the biggest impacts.
Yes.
And what has been lighting your heart up lately?
That's a great question. For me, rest has been lighting me up. I've definitely needed a lot of rest and also chasing what feels scary lately and really persevering through that has been so helpful because I'm building that self-confidence and keeping promises to myself. And yeah, I love that feeling of like, this was scary. It didn't need to be so scary in my mind. Like, you did it. Yeah, that's just been amazing.
I've been reflecting on that too, of how, like, yeah, we make all these stories. We're like, okay, I'm gonna go do the thing, and like, so much mind games. And once you do it, it's like, what? Like that's why did I make up all these things about this? Like, it was actually pretty easy. And then as soon as it's done, you're just like, okay, now I'm back to normal.
Yeah. Like even before speaking with you today, I was like so excited. But a lot of the times I get so excited that the energy can feel like fear. And it's like, oh, what if? And then you start that spiral in your head. And really, it's like, get out of the head and just be and do it. And then you'll see what happens.
Yeah. Yeah, that fine line of like anxiety and excitedness or joy. I find like sometimes when I'm really like feeling a lot of excitement, I have to like move my body, dance, or like move the energy through me so that it doesn't turn into that fear.
Yes. I need to get more tapped into how movement can help me get through these emotions.
Energy in motion. That's how I always like to think of it, emotion.
Mm-hmm.
These beautiful reminders. And is there anything that you're letting go of now that we're like halfway through the year, that you don't want to bring within for the next 6 months?
I am working on letting go of the fear of being seen, which I worked on at the start of the year. And it's funny that we've reached the midway point, and the things that I thought that I'd worked on are resurfacing. And it's like, hey, I got to continue to do the work because this limiting belief is trying to peek through. So I think just continuously doing the work to not limit myself and falling back on past thought patterns because that was known and comfortable. Whereas now I'm in a space that is almost unknown, and not surrendering to the old thought pattern.
Mm-hmm. I notice every time before we up level, it's like all the old beliefs and all the shit comes back up. You're like, come on, I thought I healed through that. Like, what are you doing back here? What I was saying is like, yeah, that's just a great reminder that this is actually a sign that like I'm actually up leveling and I get to release these beliefs now. I get to let them flow through me and then step into my next like version of it. And they never go away. Like they're always a part of you. And so to me, it's just a great reminder to nurture those parts of me and then to know that I'm about to expand and blossom even more.
Yeah, really awesome to realize that I'm at that stage where it's like, oh, let's expand.
Let's expand. Oh, such a beautiful gift. And I'm so happy that you're sharing your gifts because I just love your energy. Even though we haven't met in person, like I just can feel it online. And it's so beautiful to watch you step into your fullness. And I'm so excited to see what else you create.
Oh, thank you so much. That
Yeah.
means so much to me.
And how can people find you?
So you can find me on Instagram and TikTok at Georgia Ferraris _ and also on my website, which is just my full name, Georgia Ferraris.
Perfect. Thank you so much for being here today. And I hope everyone goes and finds you because you're amazing.
Thank you so much for having me.
Of course.